In the previous two lessons, we have discussed three main pillars of marketing decisions: product, price, and distribution. Now we'll talk about the fourth main pillar, promotion. In today's business environment, it would be more appropriate to consider promotion as integrated marketing communication, which goes beyond the traditional promotion that was oriented to sales. The target audience of marketing communication is most commonly the customers and prospect customers, but the concept of marketing communication can also address diverse stakeholders of the company, such as employees, investors, regulators, social groups, and so on. Marketing communication could have different objectives. In the introductory phase of a product or a company, marketing communication aims to build market awareness. In order to support growth, marketing communication needs to focus on persuasion in order to stimulate sales of the product. For a product in maturity phase, marketing communication could nurture customer relationship and defend market share. When planning marketing communication, a company first needs to define the core message to be delivered. The core message should demonstrate the unique value that the company intends to provide. Secondly, the mix of channels and media for communication should be defined, including the definition of targeting strategy and budget allocation. Then, the core message should be given the creative package, which could include ad copy, images, animations, videos, and so on. Such creative media production facilitates and enhances the delivery of the core message. It should take into consideration the characteristics of the channel through which it will be delivered. For example, for YouTube's pre-roll advertisements, which can be skipped after a few seconds, the video needs to strive to create a clear brand association or a strong suspense that can entice the viewers to continue watching. It should also take into consideration the perception of the target audience, whether the intended message will be correctly and effectively received. Finally, after having executed the communication, the company should evaluate whether the objectives of the communication have been achieved. Marketing communication can be delivered through diverse channels and media, thanks to the diffusion of digital technologies. First of all, communication can go through paid media. Traditional advertising on TV, radio, magazines, outdoor billboards, and so on are typical examples of paid media. This type of channels can reach a high number of audience. However, they are not always feasible for small companies as the costs can be high. It is much easier for small companies to exploit paid media in digital environments, such as search engine and social media. Digital paid media can better define targets, which is suitable for small companies which do not target the mass market. The required budget could be much more flexible than traditional mass media advertisements. Second of all, marketing communication more and more leverages on owned media. It is the communication channels which are controlled and managed directly by the company, such as the proprietary websites, social media official page, mobile apps, and so on. While in paid media, the communication has to be precise and strongly driven by the objective due to limited time and attention available. The owned media provides the possibility of deeper, broader, and interactive communication. Last but not least, communication regarding a company could go through earned media, which is not controllable by the company itself. Customers initiate such communication, such as reading and reviewing the business, participating or organizing brand communities, and so on. Even if the brand could not actively influence such media, it does provide a potentially useful source of information. Paid, owned, and earned media are not alternatives or substitute to each other. They rather complement each other as they have distinctive capabilities. Owned media, such as websites or social media pages, are nowadays widely adopted by companies, big or small. Owned media should be a source of relevant, reliable, and rich information and services, facilitating the customers to evaluate the company's offering or maintaining customer relationships. However, no matter how well the website is done, it will not be discovered by itself. This is especially true to small companies. Paid media, on the other hand, is effective in generating awareness. Paid media could not deliver complex message due to the limit of time and attention, but it can be leveraged to reach out to the potential customers. A critical weakness of paid media is its credibility. Consumers are increasingly skeptical over advertisements. They could, however, find earned media more trustworthy as it is not motivated by commercial gains. They could also find earned media more relevant and helpful since the information comes from customers who have had the experience that they are evaluating. Therefore, in integrated marketing communication, a company should also adopt a multi-channel approach. Such multi-channel approach does not only deploy multiple communication channels, it also requires interaction and mutual support among these channels. In particular, owned media will manage the communication assets for a company. These assets should fully demonstrate the unique value that the company intends to provide. Owned media should be promoted by paid media, which creates awareness in the market and drives the customers and prospect customers to the owned media. Earned media could potentially capture the presence of owned media and drive prospect customers to it as well. Owned media, on the other hand, could amplify earned media and create a community around the brand. Later, we will talk about digital communication tools in greater detail.